We're counting down the 10 most painful deaths in superhero movies. Moments that did not just shock us with brutality, but left audiences and characters forever changed. From agonizing sacrifices to losses steeped in real-world grief, each entry on this list raises the stakes and redefines what it means to lose a hero. Which goodbye was truly the hardest to watch? Let's begin the countdown with number 10. Number 10 is Big Daddy from Kick-Ass, played by Nicolas Cage. This scene comes with a warning. It is hard to stomach. Captured by Frank D'Amico's mob, Big Daddy is tied to a chair and beaten while his daughter, Hit Girl, fights to save him. The entire ordeal is broadcast live online, so every second of his pain is on display. As flames engulf him, the camera holds tight on Cage's face. No cuts, no relief, forcing us to sit with the horror. But the worst part is not the violence. It is the moment he chooses, with his last breath, to tell Hit Girl that he is proud of her. In a world built on the promise that parents protect their kids, watching a father die helplessly while comforting his daughter through torture is agony. It is a small-scale tragedy that hits like a punch to the gut and sets the bar for emotional pain on this list. A content warning for falls feels right here, because Gwen Stacy's death in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the definition of heartbreak in slow motion. In the clock tower, everything unravels. As the Green Goblin sends Gwen plummeting, director Mark Webb stretches time to the breaking point. Every frame lingers, every heartbeat counts. Spider-Man's web snaps out, desperate and fast, but just a fraction too late. The web catches her, but the sudden stop is fatal, the whiplash unmistakable. Emma Stone's chemistry with Andrew Garfield had made Gwen and Peter's love the soul of the series. That's what makes this loss so wrenching. It's the moment hope turns to tragedy, and the hero's greatest effort still isn't enough. Professor Charles Xavier's death in Logan is a masterclass in cruelty and irony. Patrick Stewart, returning for one last time as Charles, delivers a confession that has been decades in the making. Racked with guilt over the Westchester incident, a seizure that killed several of his own ex-men, Charles finally lets himself be vulnerable, believing he is speaking to Logan. The camera lingers in close, catching every flicker of regret and hope on Stewart's face. But it is not Logan at his bedside, it is X-24, a silent, soulless clone. Without warning, adamantium claws run Charles through, cutting off the chance for real forgiveness. Logan never hears his mentor's last words. All that is left is the shock of a life's work, ending in confusion and betrayal. Vision's end in Avengers. Infinity War is a masterclass in cosmic cruelty. Paul Bettany brings heartbreaking calm as Vision begs Wanda to destroy the Mind Stone, knowing it means his own death. She does it. Tears streaming, powers shaking. Vision's last words are gentle. "I just feel you." The sacrifice is absolute. But Thanos arrives, silent and unstoppable. With a flicker of green from the Time Stone, he rewinds reality itself. Everything Wanda suffered is erased in seconds. Vision is revived, only to have Thanos rip the stone from his head, leaving behind a gray, empty shell. 2 deaths in minutes, one an act of love, the other pure brutality, prove that in a universe ruled by power, even the deepest sacrifice can be snatched away and made meaningless. Yondu Udanta's last act in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 flips everything we thought we knew about him. When Ego's planet starts to collapse, there is only one spacesuit left. Yondu does not hesitate. He straps it onto Peter Quill, sealing his own fate. As the two drift in the vacuum, Michael Rooker delivers Yondu's defining line. "He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy." The cold claims Yondu, his body freezing as Peter watches, helpless. Henry Jackman's score swells with bittersweet warmth, letting the moment breathe. A former villain dies a true father, and the pain comes not just from loss, but from finally seeing who Yondu really was. Half the universe vanishes with a snap, but the pain of that moment is distilled into one terrified teenager clinging to his mentor. Tom Holland's Peter Parker, already battered from battle, starts to feel it first. a strange weakness and a panic rising. He stumbles into Tony Stark's arms, voice trembling as he says, "Mr. Stark? I don't feel so good." There is no epic score, just the sound of Peter's fear and Tony's helplessness. Holland's performance, improvised in part and grounded by his chemistry with Robert Downey Jr., turns a cosmic disaster into something heartbreakingly personal. The camera holds close as Peter apologizes, fighting to stay, and then fades to dust right in Tony's grasp. The VFX team used millions of digital particles, but it is the raw emotion in those close-ups that stays with you. In a world full of gods, it is the helplessness of a kid and the agony of a father figure that makes this death unforgettable. Vormir is a place built on loss, and Gamora's end in Avengers. Infinity War is as cruel as they come. Zoe Saldana, bringing every ounce of fight to the role, faces Josh Brolin's Thanos as the Red Skull lays out the price for the Soul Stone, a soul for a soul. Gamora believes she is safe, convinced her captor is too monstrous to know real love. But Thanos, tears streaming from his left eye, proves her wrong in the worst way possible. The camera shakes, handheld and close, as Gamora's defiance collapses into horror. Thanos' love, twisted and warped, becomes a weapon. He drags her to the cliff's edge, apologizes through broken sobs, and throws her into the abyss. There is no music swell, just the sound of wind and Gamora's scream echoing off the rock. The silence after is suffocating. Love in this moment is not a comfort. It is the tool of her destruction. The next entry is different from every other death on this list. T'Challa's absence in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is not just a story beat. It is a communal moment of mourning, shared by the cast, crew, and millions of fans. The film opens without spectacle or villainy. Shuri, desperate and brilliant, works in silence to save her brother from an unnamed illness. There is no battle, no final words, just the sudden, irreversible reality that he is gone. Queen Ramonda delivers the news, and the world of Wakanda falls quiet. Director Ryan Coogler made the decision not to recast T'Challa after Chadwick Boseman's death, rewriting the film as a space for real grief. The funeral sequence unfolds with almost no music, letting the silence and the faces of those left behind do the talking. Every empty throne, every still photograph, every moment without T'Challa is a reminder that some losses cannot be fixed by heroics. The pain here is not fictional, it is real, and it lingers long after the credits roll. 17 years is a long time to carry the weight of a single character, but that is what Hugh Jackman did as Wolverine. In Logan, every scar and every sigh shows just how tired this hero has become. The healing factor that once made him unstoppable is fading. The world he fought for is gone. All that is left is a battered man and a daughter he barely knows how to love. The final fight is pure desperation. Logan faces X-24, a clone built to be everything he once was: faster, stronger, merciless. It is not a fair fight, and the end comes with a brutal certainty. X-24 impales Logan on a tree branch, and for the first time his wounds do not close. Blood soaks the ground as the light fades through the forest canopy. James Mangold's camera does not look away. It lingers in close, letting the pain and exhaustion settle in every frame. There is no sweeping score, just the sound of breathing and the wind in the trees. Then comes the moment that cuts deepest. Laura, the girl he risked everything to protect, cradles him as he slips away. She calls him Daddy for the first and only time. It is a word loaded with everything Logan thought he would never have: family, forgiveness, peace. Jackman's face cracks into a smile, small and real, as he realizes what he has earned at the very end. For a character built on rage and regret, dying in his daughter's arms is the redemption he never thought possible. The pain of this death is not just in the violence, it is in the silence, the sunlight, and the simple word that lets an old warrior finally rest. Tony Stark's final act in Avengers Endgame is the moment everything in the MCU was building toward. After outsmarting Thanos and claiming the Infinity Stones, Tony snaps his fingers, knowing full well it is a death sentence. The cosmic energy tears through him, but he manages to look Thanos in the eye and say it one last time, "I am Iron Man." There is no swelling music, just Alan Silvestri's restrained score and the quiet chaos of the battlefield. Pepper Potts kneels beside him, her voice steady as she whispers, "You can rest now." The arc reactor on Tony's chest dims, the light fading out. Robert Downey Jr., who defined an era of superhero movies, ends his journey not with a bang, but with a quiet goodbye. It is sacrifice, redemption, and closure all at once, the most painful and the most perfect ending imaginable. Across all 10 deaths, one pattern stands out. True pain in superhero movies comes not from violence, but from loss that feels personal, on screen and off. Even in worlds built on power, it is vulnerability and sacrifice that leave the deepest scars. These stories remind us that heroes are human too,